Give me a thumbs up when we're ready, because I can't turn my head that far. All right, awesome. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the April 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Here.
Ms. Luckett here, Mr. Bick,
Here.
Mr. Mays
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here. Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and in the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please note that tonight's meeting is being simulcast on YouTube and is also being recorded. If at this time everyone would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Has everyone read the minutes of the March 6th, 2023 meeting? Yep. Okay. Are there any corrections? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the March minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia.
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
I have to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting.
Mr. Mays.
Yes, to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Luckett. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes, to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have the opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to the public input and provide additional information. Board members will be allowed to ask follow-on questions. The board will openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. Please note this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of cases outside of the meeting. And then finally, a motion will be made either approving or denying the requested variance, seconded and voted upon. So our first case tonight is an application for a property on 8869 Beach Road. The applicant is Peter Robinson. Please come up and address the board.
Good evening.
Evening.
Thanks for having me here tonight. Although you don't know me, my family has lived around here for a long time. Aunt and uncle actually first came to North Syracuse in the 1960s. 1970s, I actually lived in Syracuse. I was a graduate student in biology for at Syracuse. I remember a lot of those winters in 1970s. So anyway, since I retired, I was a corporate environmental scientist and technical manager for Texaco and then Shell. I would come up here visit my brother in the summer, and later on I stayed at my sister-in-law's house, Sarnowitz on Superior Road. You had the video up there, right by the old Boreos. So I always wanted my own place. So last year we found this property, 8869 Beach Road. I love the place. I'm actually a herpetologist, so I actually like the swamp. So anyway, I like it as is. My wife says it's not big enough for her. She doesn't like to share a bathroom, and she's also a big quilter, so she wants her quilting, wants essentially a quilting room. Anyway, I talked to a builder. We have some plans. You see that up there to add the essentially a master bedroom and bathroom. At the same time, we'd also like to consider a new front porch. Although just the addition is much more important for us. So as you can see there, the house at the bottom starts about 12 feet from the setback. The end of the current structure is about 14 feet, and the new addition will actually be between 14 and about 15 feet and a half. So you've got all the documentation, so I'm just requesting a variance so that we can build this addition. We know have some other things. I've already been in communication with the permits people at DEC, and we will probably need an environmental permit for this. So I've already chartered them to do the wetlands delineation field inspection. So we're really not talking about doing any construction till this fall. So any questions? I'd be happy to.
I have
Yes.
one. I looked at it at the property on GIS and it doesn't show that it's in the wetlands, is it?
Yeah, I've got a good picture here. Circle the house, that part of Loop Road, I'm sure you're familiar, is
Yeah, when you turn on the layer though, it doesn't
Yeah.
show that the
So,
wetlands show over here. Here's a line.
yeah, I think I believe I saw those too.
GIS stuff.
When I was looking at the older mapping, I believe I saw that too.
Mhm.
So we'll need to do the field delineation to see exactly where the wetlands start. That's kind of a general view. Wetlands don't go in a straight line,
Right. No, we know.
but you know, I've talked to the permits people, CJ Costco specifically at DEC. And he's pretty comfortable as long as we stay in kind of our rough footprint. There'll have to be some extra precautions taken during construction to make sure there's no movement of water, and also making sure the trucks don't spill any gasoline or diesel, things like that, but so probably won't get that permit till later this summer.
As I look at your project, the thing that's most concerning to me is the porch and that it's getting closer to the boundary line. Why does the porch need to be wider than it is today?
The current porch is about 7 feet. The spot up there at the bottom is actually the closest to the setback. Even with the new porch, that's really going to be the closest point to the front boundary line.
Right. What I'm getting at is why can't we keep that point the same as what you have today? So if you've got,
Yeah,
it's not on the survey today, so it's hard for me to tell exactly what that distance is.
yeah, I believe the current porch comes out 7 feet from the dwelling, so
Okay.
we can certainly keep the new porch, you know, within that 7 feet, not any wider than 7 feet.
Does that indicate on a survey anywhere? Do you guys see that at all? I mean,
It's on that site. It's not on the survey, but this site plan done by his architect shows it at 6.1 feet, the existing porch from the street line, and then so there's currently a stoop essentially. He's using that. He's not going any closer, although he will be extending the porch
or
across the
along
whole
like the
front.
house.
Yes,
But
but it won't
that,
get any closer.
that point will still be the closest to the road.
Understand, that's what I'm focused on is that point, because that's the closest.
Steve, were you pointing to a different map that we might be, were you pointing to something different we might be able to pull up, or is that what you
I
were
don't-
talking
I don't-
about?
It's right on that
Yeah.
site.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
this,
right there.
that piece right there.
Is that,
So what is that?
oh, there it is. I forgot my glasses.
It's pretty high.
So that is the same as the stoop is now, roughly?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, we can certainly make sure the new porch, it doesn't go any closer to the boundary line than the existing.
This is only 6.
Okay, but I guess the missing link for me is that the existing porch or is that the proposal?
That's the proposed.
Okay, well, I don't know what the existing is right now, though, right?
Yeah, well.
What's this?
it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a survey though, right? So I mean,
If you look
I
at the
get
survey,
it.
It shows the existing, it'll show the southerly and, I don't know if that's actually, and northerly distances, of the existing house, you can
Yeah,
tell.
the
it's-
problem is I don't have a scale drawing. That's the only problem.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean,
It's my belief that that's the point of the existing porch. Okay.
Visually, just looking at the survey here. it
Yeah,
looks
I mean,
like
I'm saying the
it's-
same thing. I
yeah.
mean, it looks close. I just don't want to say something and then get
Yes.
our hands tied a little bit.
Any other questions?
I think, I mean, it's
Let's-
that point that I was most concerned about, right? I
Okay.
mean, you know, rest of the property moves away from the line from there, right?
What else, guys?
I'm not seeing any real issue with it because it is exactly the same distance that the existing stoop is, and that's already there.
Right.
Now, Steve, was that approved by a permit many years ago? I'm gonna guess not. But,
It may have, I didn't see that. in the-
okay,
Original house was built in 1968.
right, yeah, I'm gonna guess, no permit for.
And the picture kind of shows not too many houses near us meet the setback
Right.
requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent.
Well, you got the swamp on the lake, so it's kind of put people close to Beach Road.
So Chuck, when the agenda says reduces the existing yard front back from 12 feet to 6.1, I mean, it's kind of already 6.1, right?
Yeah, it's somewhat of a misnomer because of the stoop that's there.
So, and if you look at the definition of front yard.
Yeah.
Stoops or stairs are excluded from that requirement because you have to have access to the house. So now that the porches are going the full length, you're extending that.
Got it.
setback. Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
so
that's a stoop then, not kind of a porch or
Right,
entryway.
right,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
That was.
The stairs you would exclude normally.
All right.
Now they're no longer just stairs.
Yeah,
are the
got it.
stairs on here? Are there gonna be?
They're going
another set of
sideways.
stairs that come out?
They're going towards the
They're-
driveway.
yeah,
now.
Towards the driveway.
Can you scroll down there for? Or sorry, scroll up. My bad. Terry, right there.
Oh, right there, okay.
Let's see how everything's kind of moving away from the property line.
We're actually looking at a couple different lengths of the porch. So that would be the most extreme. We actually may do a smaller front porch, so. For the purposes of the variance, we just kind of put the maximum, so.
And that's fine because really, at that point, it doesn't matter that much to us, but just to clarify for everybody, your entryway is right there, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Then you also are adding, let's say 20, am I reading this right? 25 feet to edge of pavement off that boundary line?
I'm sorry.
How close is that? Because that stoop is not actually 6.1 feet from the pavement. Even though it looks like on the survey in our 25 feet. Am I reading that correctly?
I'm sorry, what exactly you asking?
On the,
Right away. I could see another 14 to 15 feet.
yeah, I'm looking here on this survey. It shows 25, but I don't know if that's.
Well, to the center line, right?
Oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Half,
okay.
half the road right away.
Yeah, gotcha.
A lot of numbers on there.
Okay, if there's no questions right now, I'm gonna go to the public hearing. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone besides the applicant speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? This time I will close the public hearing. Guys, any follow-up questions? Okay. Would someone like to cover the 5 factors? Make a motion?
I'll do it.
Great, thank you.
So let's review the 5 factors for repeated Robertson 8869 Beach Road. Whether undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created. Not at all.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Vick,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Whether the applicant can achieve his goals via a reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. No, I guess, given the situation where he's trying to replace his front stoop with a porch, he absolutely needs a variance and, he absolutely needs a variance, to put an addition on his house. So I don't see a way to get what he's looking for without a variance.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Vick,
Agreed.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Where the variance is substantial, certainly by just the math, going from a front yard setback to 6.1 feet where 30 is required would suggest it's substantial, but I look at what's there today. I know it's a porch, like, as we talked about during the hearing. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know it's a stoop, which is an entryway in the house, and this won't be any closer to the road than what he has today. So while it's substantial, it wouldn't be a reason to deny the variance.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I'll agree. And also I would like to add that one of the things that we're looking at here is what we've had the past couple times, expanding a non-conforming structure, which really, in this case, I'm seeing the expansion, not really impacting the non-conforming portion of it because we're going into the property and away from the road. So I see that as negating one of those concerns.
Where am I at? Adverse impact?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wh-
Sorry.
whether the
I got
variance
you
will
off
have a-
track, sorry.
That's okay. No, whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood district, no, I don't see it.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
And then whether there's been any self-created difficulty, I mean, just by the virtue of the fact that he submitted a variance application says yes, but that wouldn't be a reason to deny the variance.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
So with that, I'll make a motion for Peter Robeson, 8869 Beach Road, for an area variance to expand a non-conforming structure for the construction of a 12 by 24 house addition and a maximum porch size of 7 by 26 that reduces the existing yard front back from 12 feet to 6.1, where a minimum of 30 feet is required today.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Luckett. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes, to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Motion carried. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you very much for your.
Welcome.
Our second case tonight is an application for a property on 162 Manning Drive. The applicant is Donald George. If you could please come up and address the board.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me come in. Donald George,
Thank you.
born in Syracuse, New York. Been on Manning Drive since 1987. Been working in electrical business, the distributor, for the last 46 years.
Why don't you describe your project for us, please?
Existing garage tearing down and adding a garage and a half, to make it larger. As the years got to me, I just outgrew the small garage and looking to upgrade it. And again, I keep my car in the garage too, so everything else.
Where's the fence line today? The garage will be still inside the fence line or outside the fence line?
Still inside,
Still inside. the
yes,
fence line.
about 4 to 5 feet,
Okay, so the fence will still be the closest thing to the road.
yes.
Okay.
On Michael's Ave.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You'll be able to save the tree?
Yes, that's the only tree left I have.
I know, I noticed
It's a
that.
beautiful
The big
tree and since I've been there, I lost 7 trees.
Oh.
Couple with is it 97, the storm, you know,
Yeah.
thank God. We were all very fortunate in that neighborhood that the trees fell forward, not on nobody's homes back then.
Steve, how do fences work in the town of Cicero? I know how they used to work, and that is people weren't required to get permits for them. And this one is clearly, not that it's a bad thing, but clearly infringing on the setback. Once again, was there a permit for that at one point? No? Okay.
Well, again,
Not picking on you, just asking.
That's been there since I've been.
Okay,
yeah,
Okay.
since I work for the town, the regulations have been as they are today, except for the fact that the town didn't require permits until about 2014
Right.
to help mitigate situations like this. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, when I went by it, I was mostly concerned about sightlines, right? Because,
Yes.
you know, you're gonna put a garage there and, you know, I kind of in my head said if this is inside the fence line, it's probably okay, right? I went
Yeah.
back and forth up and down Michael Way or Michael Ave. And
Yeah, the one limiting factor I could see. Because Michael Ave doesn't have a stop sign on it from what I remember. But
not that way. Yeah.
Manning does, so and the restriction I think would be from Michael looking on to Manning. You know, take as you're traveling south on that.
On Michael,
Yes, taking a look to the left, the garage would tend to impair that, but you have the stop
Stop
sign
signs
there,
there,
so
though,
you
right?
would
Yeah,
see
exactly.
somebody parked there, so I guess I don't think that's a issue.
yeah, I mean,
Or sorry, I agree with you. That's.
no,
that's what
yeah,
was
no,
trying to say.
I'm with you, I'm following you.
Obviously, it's gonna meet the same architectural criteria as the house. It'll match in with the siding.
Yes.
Whatever, okay.
Same with the roof and everything.
Any other questions at this point? Okay. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? At this time, I will close the public hearing. Any further questions?
Just
Okay.
one quick one, the short environmental form says approximately 20 by 25 for the garage.
Yes,
Okay, define approximately. I mean, is it going to be 20 by 25 or is it going to be?
No, it's
slightly
gonna be-
larger? Okay,
yes.
okay, just picking on the.
Yeah, no,
approximate.
no, that's okay.
Okay,
I think you kind of stick with, Rob, you stick with what's laid out on this one site plan here.
no, I looked at it, yeah. Just
I
wanted,
would just reference it in the motion, right? That way you get all the
Yes.
setbacks and dimensions.
Does it matter, Steve, that you're not just expanding the garage, you're demolishing it and rebuilding?
Yes, I'm going to start from scratch.
Does it matter in what way?
Is there
Either way, whether it was an
Right.
addition to it or rebuilding it, the variance would be
Still
the
an
same.
expansion of a
That's
non-conforming
right.
garage.
He would be expanding the previous non-conformity because the existing garage is 12.9 from the street line now.
All right, if there's no other questions, would somebody like to address the 5 factors? Make a motion?
I can do it.
Great.
All right, whether an undesirable change would be
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. My bad.
It's okay. Would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties, I would say no. You're gonna keep it looking exactly how it is, matching what you had there. I don't see where that would be a detriment to anything in your neighborhood.
Mr. Rabia,
Great.
Ms. Luckett,
I guess I would have said it that there's several nearby houses have larger garages than just the one bay. So, but agreed.
Mr. Beck, agree? And Mr. Stanton.
I would agree, and I would echo that it does fit the character of the neighborhood.
Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. I would say no. If you want a larger garage, I don't see how else you could do that without a variance.
Mr. Rabia,
Agree.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Beck,
agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Whether the requested variance is substantial, I said yes, it is substantial. Looking at the 5 foot versus 30 required foot, is substantial, but it is not a reason to deny.
Mr. Luckett, or if, I'm sorry, Mr. Rabia,
Agree.
Ms. Luckett, Mr. Beck,
Agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? I said no.
Mr. Rabia,
Agree.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Beck,
Agreed.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes, I agree. And just to point back to the previous discussion, we did take sight lines into consideration.
And number five, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, I said yes. Wanting a larger garage is a self-created difficulty, but not a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia,
Agree.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Beck,
Agreed.
and Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Okay, so with that, I will make a motion on behalf of Donald C. George, 162 Manning Drive, for an area variance to expand a non-conforming structure for the construction of a garage addition that reduces the existing front yard setback from 12.9 feet to 5 feet, or a minimum distance of 30 feet is required.
Do I have a second?
Second.
When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Beck,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Baines,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And last but not least, our third case tonight is an application for a subdivision on 8313 Cicero Center Road. The applicant is Fred Woznicka. Someone could please come up and address the board.
Good evening. I'm Patrick Reynolds with Iannuzzi and Romans Land Surveying, representing the applicant Fred Woznicka, who is in the audience if you have any specific questions pertaining to that. As I said, I'm representing him in the application for the variance and ultimately in his quest to subdivide this property. Currently, as the property sits, it's 15.5 acres. The larger portion, which we're hoping to become lot 2, is an agricultural field, and lot 1 will be the remainder lot with the existing house on it. We're looking to split that off. There are two factors. The first variance we're seeking is for the lot depth. You can see we have a dashed line going along the back lot line, which is an existing farm ditch. That is something we were interested in taking into consideration when creating the back line of the lot. The ditch can be moved slightly. We'd like to keep it with the agricultural field. To get the required 200-foot depth, though, we'd be moving that ditch approximately 50 feet, and that's kind of a burden to do that. And the main reason for the lot depth as we show it, and what we feel is kind of the obvious choice, is the adjoining lots. Right now, we're matching the lot depth to the lot directly to the south. It creates a nice straight line on what would be lot 2, eliminate some jogs. And then we're also seeking a variance for the area. We're coming in at 0.8 acres for lot 1. Right now, we're following a preliminary plan that was created many years ago by Robert Goodeve. We just kind of like the layout of it, wanted to see if we can get that in. I don't know if you guys have copies of what the final plan is, but we have fairly good distance from the existing house to what that northerly proposed line would be. If you do not have a copy showing the house, I did bring some, if you would like them. It would have been labeled the final plan.
You guys have it? Yeah. I've got it up on my screen, so I don't.
So a few things that aren't necessarily portrayed on this is there is a septic system in the middle of lot 1, and that is roughly about 90 feet south of what that proposed northerly line would be. and roughly 65 feet east of what that proposed west line would be.
So one thing we're charged with looking at is minimizing the number of variances. And I do completely understand the roughly 155-foot lot depth. I mean, it makes sense to line it up with the ditch that's there, and it does meet all the other properties that have been previously subdivided, I'm assuming. The one thing that confuses me though is that, we have there's a property here that's, 15 and a half, almost 16 acres. And it seems like we're kind of cutting things kind of close to be asking for 0.8 acres for another variance, when if we went another 39, 40 feet in width, you could actually get that 1 acre and eliminate one of the variances.
Correct. So we were coming in for the variance for the lot depth. As I said, there was some existing survey work done by a previous surveyor that had that lot width on there. It was what we were shooting for.
I mean, is there an
I think you
objection
need
to
to be-
another 39 or
yeah.
40 feet?
I
worth
mean,
of
from my
width?
perspective, you gotta be in an acre, right? We got a lot of land. We gotta make that part right.
Yeah, to me, it would be a shame if we have all this and didn't go just the extra couple
I'm-
feet to
I'm
get it.
on the cusp of understanding the ditch thing, but whatever, I can
So
listen.
what they're asking is if you have any objection to pushing this line up 40 feet. So it's like that. So
Well,
to make this an
well,
acre.
If they don't want to keep it the same,
Okay,
I'll have to give them more, I guess.
okay.
Which line did you point to?
So it would be moving that northerly line 40 feet to the
Right.
north.
Well,
would give us,
but I'm not sure I understood. Keep it the same comment. What did that mean?
So what he's getting at is if the board is not willing to grant us the variance for the lot acreage, then he is willing to move that line 40 feet to make it an acre.
No, okay, I got that. Maybe I misunderstood what he said.
When I had the previous surveyor lay it out, I wasn't aware of he went from the center of the road west for
Understood.
the distance, which I wasn't aware of. It was too short now. So that was the discrepancy.
Steve, would you be able to check me on, by my calculations, I think if you get a 281-foot lot width, that would get us at an acre? Sorry, I'm putting
right.
everybody on the spot tonight.
Right. Second. $281 by
155,
1.25, is that what it is?
0.25, yeah.
yeah, 155.25. Gets you about
Yeah,
43,560.
43,625, so you're over by, 5, 6, so you're a little bit over. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you
Let's
figure
do,
the
So it's 39 feet.
minimum would have to be to
yeah,
make
let me
it
let me check this out here.
Well,
Let's do 280.
38 feet, 40 feet.
It comes at 1.001.
That's pretty close.
So yeah, so
We're trusting your math.
1 foot either way gets us quite a bit of. I think 281 is probably the right way to go on that one. Okay. Any other questions?
No, I mean, I think, we gotta get to an acre, right? And then we can talk about the
I think
155.
I think that's a reasonable compromise.
I just had one question, clarification.
Yes.
Pat, you said there's a proposed septic system, and there is a septic system already on that lot.
There is an existing septic system.
Was there a building there before?
There is a house on lot one.
Oh, that White House?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's all, regardless of what we're talking about, that septic system is all contained within the subdivided
That's what I was
lot.
getting at.
That's correct. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware that
Thank
any of
you.
the utilities were.
We appreciate that. Okay. So if there are no other questions at this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? At this time, I will close the public hearing.
I guess I have one more question. What's the ditch for?
It drains, it helps drain part of the field to the going north.
Okay.
The ditch wasn't always there. When my father and I bought the property, he had the ditch dug instead of, the water flowing south, which it did for eons.
Made it go the other way?
Now it drains north. And I wish he never had it dug. It's nothing but a problem to keep it clear.
The field doesn't have any drain tile in it, does it?
Pardon me?
It doesn't have drain tile on it. The field,
Tile?
drain tile.
No, it doesn't.
No, okay.
Any other questions? All right, would someone like to review the 5 factors? All right, I'll take a stab at that. All right, so the first is whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties would be created. My answer to that is no. The proposed subdivision does not change the primarily residential use of the land that's being subdivided.
Mr. Rabia,
Agree.
Ms. Luckett,
Agreed.
Mr. Beck,
Agree.
Mr. Mays.
Agree.
All right. The second is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance. My answer to that is going to be no, and I would reference the willingness the applicant had to compromise on the lot width to be able to get us at the acre.
Mr. Rabia,
Go ahead.
I mean, I think I disagree. I think the answer is yes, really, that it can be done, right? It's just, I think
Yes.
I mean, for me, it can be done, but that's okay. So I disagree, but that's fine.
No, I agree. I actually agree with your disagreement.
I also agree with the disagreement.
We got ourselves screwed up.
It can be done, but it's not a reason to deny it.
I agree with her agreement of the disagreement. That it can't be done, but it's no reason to deny it.
What have I started?
We've got to redefine the language here.
That's terrible, guys.
I actually agree with Mr. Stanton's original reason that in regards, I'm thinking about the 155-foot lot depth. And I don't think having to offset the ditch 55 or 50 feet or 45 feet rather. I think that's not really a feasible alternative. It can be done, but I think there's a better way to do it.
Well, I appreciate that and good luck trying to record all that for us. Sorry about that. The third is whether the requested area variance is substantial. I'm going to answer yes to that. Now, we did eliminate one of the variances, but the remaining variance is 44.75 feet on 200 feet, which is 22% of the lot depth. But that's not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Beck,
Agree.
Mr. Mays.
I agree.
Okay. The fourth is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. My answer to that is no. The proposed subdivision does not alter the current use of the land.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Beck,
Agree.
Mr. Mays.
I agree.
And the last is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. My answer to that is yes. The applicant is proposing to create a subdivision that does not meet with bulk regulations, but this again is not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I also agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Beck,
Agree.
Mr. Mays.
I agree.
All right. So with that, I would like to make a motion for Fred Wesnicka of 8313 Cicero Center Road to create the variance would be to create a proposed residential use lot that has a depth of 155.25 feet, where a minimum depth of 200 feet is required. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank
So with that, is there any other business before the board tonight? Okay. With that, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes. to the motion.
Mr. Mays,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. I believe the next meeting is May 1st.